everybody, and welcome back to the second of our health product webinars. Tonight, I'm really excited about this topic. I think it's really exciting. I think you're going to learn a lot. So before we crack on, as usual, I'm going to introduce our esteemed speaker tonight. Our partner and functional medicine practitioner and physio, Jenny Haig. So Jenny, welcome back. And for those of you who don't know, Jenny's a physiotherapist in private practice, has been in private practice for more than 20 years, and has been an accredited functional medicine practitioner now for a couple of years. It's been a passion of hers for much more than that. After her own struggles with chronic fatigue syndrome, healed herself, and now sharing that same information with others. And tonight, as you can see on the screen, the topic is around the marvelous human immune system. So Jenny, thank you for your time as always, and over to you.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I know, super excited to be here. And I think with it now being winter, a very important topic to be speaking about is our immune system. So let's have a look at this. All right, cool. So let's have a look. This is a very, very basic image of our immune system. And the first line of defense that we have is there at the external barriers. Can you see my mouse?
Yes, we can see the mouse fine.
All right. So our external barriers are obviously our skin, our mucous membranes, and our nasal hair. So mucous membranes line basically every orifice in our bodies. And those are super important. And we'll go through a little bit more of why. But what I've, certainly in my physio practice, I've had patients who've been taking antibiotics, but they're still not getting better. And the thing is that we can't just rely on medication pills to heal us. We need to be looking at our own health and what we are doing to support our bodies in order to be healthy, okay? I've had patients who've gone through multiple courses of antibiotics and they're still struggling with chest infections. We need to be strong at a cellular level so that our body is resilient and can fight off these kind of infections. And then our immune system needs to kill the bugs, whatever bug it may be, but not us, okay? And some of that is what we were seeing in COVID. Okay? So we need to have a strong immune system, but it also needs to learn to calm down when the infection is over so that we don't have an overactive immune system. So our first responders are our barriers and our innate immune system. Our innate immune system is fast and non-specific, so it doesn't have antibodies and all those kind of things. As you can see there, it comprises phagocytes over here, and they basically identify and destroy foreign invaders. And then we have our natural killer cells here, and they attack mutated or cancerous cells. Our second line of defense here is the T cells and the B cells. So the T cells receive messages from the phagocytes to eliminate the enemies. And they then inform the B cells to produce antibodies, and that memory of that invader gets stored so that next time your body comes across that specific bacteria or virus or whatever it may be, it recognizes it and it can launch a very quick attack. So our humoral immunity is the production of the B cells. And that involves antibodies, as we said, which then circulate in the bloodstream and protect against extracellular pathogens. So that is not our intracellular immune system. These cells, our natural killer cells, are the intracellular immune system. So they will attack things within our cells. These B cells circulate in our circulation, and they target bacteria, viruses, and toxins. Our cell-mediated immunity relies on the T cells to directly attack infected cells or cancerous cells and eliminate those pathogens. So they will also act, the T cells will also act intracellularly and eliminate pathogens on the inside of cells. I hope that kind of makes sense. It's a little bit complicated, but I want to go more now into those first line barriers, because your gut comprises 85% of our immune system, okay? And there's an immunoglobulin called immunoglobulin A, secretory immunoglobulin A. And that is the most abundant antibody in the body, okay? Or it's not actually an antibody, it's an immunoglobulin. It makes up 85% of our immune system. So secretory IgA is the primary defender of the mucosal surfaces in the body. It lines our gut, our nose, our bladder, and our lungs. And all these areas interact with the outside world. So they all come into contact with pathogens from our environment. So it's super important that we're able to eliminate those pathogens as quickly as possible. This secretory IgA is found in your secretions like saliva, tears, and breast milk. So, actually quite fascinating. I mean, even in our tears. So our eyes are also exposed to pathogens. And secretory IgA is lining all of those mucous membranes, even in our eyes. It acts as the first line of immune defense against pathogens. And if you think about it, I mean, viruses will typically enter in our nose, and they begin to divide in the nose. Now, there are no antibodies present in our nasal tissue in our nose, but secretory IgA is there in our nose. So that will immediately start to defend us against the bacteria and start to engulf it and eliminate it. And also, the higher the levels of zinc in your nasal tissue, the less likely you are to have viral reproduction at that level. Okay, so secretory IgA, its main function is immune exclusion of pathogens. So it basically, it just eliminates them. It binds to them and then attaches to them. So the binding prevents the pathogens from attaching to the epithelial cells in our body that line our gut or our lungs, our nasal passages, even our bladder. Even our bladder is lined with secretory IgA, okay? So that binds to any pathogens that come in and prevents them from getting into our cells. So the pathogens are then cleared by natural processes like peristalsis in the gut, where you just eliminate it normally through your bowel movements, as well as the mucociliary escalator in the lungs. And that is the process whereby the little cilia, the hairs in your lungs, in your bronchi, and in your nose, and all of those areas move the mucus out of the airways. And with that mucus, you are moving out all of those pathogens at the same time. Secretory IgA's exclusion process is non-inflammatory at the barriers, okay? So it does not create an inflammatory reaction at those sites. So it doesn't activate the whole immune system. It just really very calmly and quietly gets rid of them. Now, we secrete 3 to 5 grams per day of secretory IgA into the lumen of our intestines. So if we are not producing enough of this, it's very easy for us to become immune compromised. And when we think of 85% of our secretory IgA is in the gut, if our guts are not healthy, it will absolutely render us, in that position of becoming immune compromised. So very important to be looking at our gut if we're looking at a healthy immune system. Various bacteria, yeasts, including Candida, which is quite a common infection, and parasites can break down our secretory IgA. So if we do not have healthy bacteria and the right microbiome, if there's dysbiosis, if there's too much Candida overgrowth, if we've got parasites, they can contribute to reducing the production of IgA and breaking down the secretory IgA that we've got. So it obviously renders us immunocompromised then. Okay, so secretory IgA, your key immune defender. Its role is to maintain, or one of its roles is to maintain gut homeostasis and microbial balance. Secretory IgA protects against viruses entering the nose and the mouth. It is vital for infant immunity via breast milk. And it manages microbes without causing inflammation, as we said. Okay, so let's have a look at some factors that influence our immune systems. Obviously, our white blood cells, fasting, autoimmunity, hydration, supplements, sleep, exercise, and emotional states or stress. So the most powerful weapon we have in our immune system is sleep. Melatonin is actually it is an antioxidant, and it boosts our natural killer cells. So very important that we are producing melatonin. It is a hormone. We produce it at night, and it helps us to sleep. Getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep is very important. Okay, 7 is really the minimum number of hours that we should be asleep. So making sure we go to bed as early as we need to get that amount of sleep. Use white noise in the background, and things like gravity cooling blankets can help with sleep if you do that. If you are waking up at night, it can be due to hypoglycemia. So you could be having blood sugar imbalances at night. Limit your intake of fluids if you need to, so that you're not waking up to urinate. And when you are sick, you sleep, because that's the time when your body heals. So that's why it's really important. Our bodies heal and cleanse themselves while we are sleeping. So it's super important that we make sure we get enough sleep. Obviously, food is very, very important in our overall health and our immune system. The worst foods for our immune systems are hydrogenated fats, simple sugars, simple carbohydrates, processed foods, and then pro-inflammatory foods with very little fruit and veg. Okay, so avoid processed foods. Make your own food with whole foods at home. Avoid meals that make you tired or give you any symptoms. Increase foods with flavonoids, Eat brightly colored fruits and vegetables, a wide variety. Eat the rainbow of fruits and vegetables every single day, because that gives you a wide variety of flavonoids. But particularly things like citrus, ginger, green tea, berries, and apples are very good to boost your immune system. A high sugary diet shuts off those natural killer cells. It shuts off that activity for several hours after eating that. So increase diversity of fruits and veg to increase diversity of the gut microbiome. In physical activity, super important. It's one of the most important things for our health in general, and very, very powerful immune protection. So we should be getting an average of 150 to 300 minutes of moderate physical activity, or 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous physical activity. We should be doing a minimum of 2 strength training sessions per week, and have an exercise capacity of more than or equal to 10 METs. Steve can go into that a bit more if he wants later, but yeah, that's what we are looking for in terms of exercise. But this is very generalized. Please understand that every person is different, and depending on where you're at in terms of your health, we may need to modify this. So some people can't just go and do all that physical activity. It is not good for you. And we've got to modulate your cortisol, because exercise is also a stressor to your body. So if you're dealing with very high levels of stress, adding extra stress onto it is not going to help your body to be healthy. So please, this is a general idea. If you do need to reach out for more detailed understandings, then please do that. Okay. Hydration, again, very important for immunity, very important for overall health. Very important to ensure adequate communication in the immune system. So we need enough fluids in our body for that communication between all the cells. How to calculate how much water we should be drinking. We should have approximately 35 moles of water per kilogram of body weight per day. So you take your weight and you times it by 0.035. And that is what you should be drinking per day in moles. Okay. Avoid alcohol and caffeinated drinks, because they dehydrate our bodies. Okay. Have a hydration routine. Obviously, first thing in the morning, you are quite dehydrated. You haven't drunk for 8 hours or maybe more. So you need to have a good amount of water first thing in the morning, and then fit it into a routine throughout the day. Things you can add to your water: lemon, lime, aloe vera, ginger, and apple cider vinegar. Those are all very, very good for our gut and for our immune system. And if you are feeling thirsty, you are probably dehydrated already. So don't get thirsty. Drink regularly on an ongoing basis so that you don't get thirsty. Stress and immune system weakening. Stress can weaken the entire immune system. Stress is a very, very important part of being healthy, okay, or managing stress. Long-term stress significantly impacts body defenses and decreases secretory IgA production. So long-term stress causes a big spike in cortisol, and over a long period of time, it can eventually drop off. And that creates a lot of chaos in our bodies. So chronic stress increases overall body inflammation levels, and that will also have a negative effect on our immune system. It alters the function of innate and adaptive cells and changes the gut microbiota. And it changes abnormal immune responses. the changes cause abnormal immune responses, making you vulnerable. Okay. So we've got to be always aware of our gut, our microbiome. If that is unhealthy, the rest of our bodies are not going to be healthy neither. Okay, increasing resilience, managing stress, and boosting our immunity. So stress management supports a healthy immune response. Some basic techniques: meditation, that builds resilience and reduces stress levels. And you can start just with 5 minutes a day. There's lots of apps you can find, lots of guided meditations you can do. Just fit it into your routine somewhere in the day and start to do short meditations. Regular exercise makes a huge difference for managing stress. So fitting exercise into your day is very good if you are very stressed. Spending time in nature can reduce stress significantly, and bringing in some breathing exercises while you're in nature really helps to manage stress. And then journaling helps to process thoughts and manage feelings, which will also help with stress management. Intermittent fasting, okay, that can also play a role in immunity. Now, again, please take care. Fasting is not for everyone, all right? And it also depends on where you are in your health journey. So don't jump into everything, okay? These are all guidelines, and you can take what works best for you and build on that, okay? But with fasting, it reduces our free radicals, okay? So it helps to get rid of free radicals. It increases our body's antioxidant levels. If you are looking at starting with fasting, the best and easiest way to start is with a 16-hour fast and an 8-hour eating window. So you eat for 8 hours a day, and then you fast completely for 16, okay? So that's the easiest way. There's lots of modifications around that. Those with hypoglycemia, so low blood sugar, should not fast, okay? And the other thing it does is regenerate our immune systems. So it gives them a bit of a kickstart and a new beginning. Then emotional states and immunity. Another very important factor with our immune system, okay? So laughing has a direct effect on the opioid production and hence on our immune systems. So laughing's super good. Watch funny movies and YouTube clips that make you laugh, that make you feel good, okay? Positive stuff. Stay away from news channels, all right? They are always negative. They feed into that whole negative cycle. And news is never good, honestly. So, keep away from negative inputs. Crying has a positive effect on the immune system. So sometimes it's good to cry. It gets rid of all those emotions and just helps us to let everything out. And that's a good thing. Otherwise, we bottle it up, and that starts to increase our stress and our cortisol levels. Fear, doubt, and anxiety have negative effects on the immune system. So try to manage those emotions: fear, doubt, and anxiety, right? Journal, watch positive YouTube videos, those kind of things, to rather move into the positive inputs rather than the negative. And then looking at supplements. Let's go a little bit more into detail around supplements. Vitamin C, we all know, that boosts natural killer cells. Vitamin A, C, and D are absolutely essential for our immune system, okay? If you are coming down with an infection, a very high dose of vitamin A, for even just for one day, very high dosing of vitamin A will make a huge difference. Okay, so getting that vitamin A, between 5,000 and 25,000 IUs will make a difference. You can even take it higher than 25,000 for the first day. And then vitamin D is very, very important and often under-tested. I think it's really important also to test vitamin D. And that's a simple blood test that you can do. But optimal levels of vitamin D are really between 60 and 80 nanograms. What they are finding in the research, particularly when we were looking at COVID, is that if you had a vitamin D level of above 50, you basically there were no deaths from COVID with a vitamin D level above 50. So very important to get enough sunshine and to test it, to get, most people need to take a supplement for vitamin D. But again, we need to be testing it because different times of the year, we may need more or less. Botanicals can help. Echinacea is very good for boosting our immune systems. But again, just a word of warning, if you have any kind of overactive immune system, so if you are dealing with any kind of autoimmune condition, echinacea is not recommended because that will supercharge your immune system more. So it will just create further problems for you. Then for your lung barrier, it's good to eat high sulfur foods to increase glutathione. Glutathione makes a big difference in our immune system as well. So sulfur-rich foods are things like your cruciferous vegetables, your broccolis, cauliflowers, cabbage, kale, and so on. All of those are very, very good for glutathione. Short-chain fatty acids also support your immune system. The best way to increase short-chain fatty acids in your gut are to eat a diet rich in fiber and lots of diverse foods. And then flavonoids, as we mentioned beforehand, a wide variety of colorful fruits and vegetables will give you a lot of different flavonoids. Vitamins that are vital for immunity. Sorry, that's my dog. Vitamin A. Good sources of vitamin A are liver, fish oils, orange or yellow fruits and vegetables. Okay? And the benefits of vitamin A are for lung health, infection response, and membrane integrity. Vitamin C, found in citrus fruits, particularly actually the peels. So you can even dry lemon and orange peels. There's much, much more vitamin C in the peels than in the actual fruit. So drying those, grinding them up into a powder, adding them to, salads, smoothies, salad dressings, whatever you want. Berries, peppers, papaya, broccoli, all high in vitamin C. And those, they basically enhance our innate immunity. They prevent and treat infections, and they are very, very good antioxidants. I think we know that about vitamin C. Vitamin D, sources of vitamin D are fatty fish, cod liver oil, egg yolks, and then sunshine on our skin. Okay, but we need to have enough skin exposed and no sunscreen to block the sun. So that's a good way. What does that do? It protects our respiratory system and it modulates inflammation. And as I said, testing is recommended. Then zinc, sources of zinc. The best one is oysters. And then red meat, poultry, beans, nuts, and seeds. So often with zinc, you may need a bit of a supplement as well, because I don't think we eat things like oysters very often. Yeah. Infection resistance and wound healing and barrier support. So those are the primary things that zinc is involved with. And then selenium. Oh dear, what did I do? Selenium, the sources of selenium are Brazil nuts, seafood, and organ meat. and also involved in various aspects of our immune function. Okay, key phytonutrients and bioactives. Omega-3 fatty acids. So sources of omega-3, fatty fish, such as salmon, mackerel, sardines. Then also in flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. The benefits, it modulates inflammation. Very, very important. And it makes our cell membranes soft and supple so that things can move in or out of our cells easily, which obviously, if we are dealing with infections, is very important. The right things need to get into the cells and the right things need to get out of the cells so that we can eliminate that infection and get it out of our bodies. Quercetin, found in onions, apples, berries, green tea, and that's involved in membrane integrity and inflammation modulation. Curcumin, we all know turmeric, that modulates inflammation as well, and it's a potent antioxidant. But turmeric is not well absorbed by our bodies. It's not a very bioavailable compound. So if you do want to make that a bit more bioavailable, you do need to mix it with oil and black pepper. So just bear that in mind when you're using turmeric. Then green tea, also very good for immunity, and that helps with inflammation. It modulates inflammation and oxidative stress reduction. Okay, so inflammation and oxidative stress, super, super important when you're dealing with the immune system. And that is one of the things that was going haywire with COVID, is that the inflammation was out of control, oxidative stress was out of control, and our immune systems were just hyper reactive. So it wasn't calming down well. And that's also what we're seeing with long COVID, is that that immune system is just ongoing, it's hyperactive, and it doesn't know when to calm down. So the infection is over, but people are still struggling with all of those symptoms and after effects. And that's because of our immune system is now hypervigilant, and that also starts to move into autoimmune kind of conditions. So that's where those autoimmunes that COVID has triggered are coming from. And then NAC, N-acetylcysteine, also very, very powerful for immune function, and that is involved in membrane integrity, inflammation, and oxidative stress as well. So very important compounds there. And then what can we use for specific immune functions? Our innate immune cells. So your medicinal mushrooms, very, very good for that innate immune cell. And Andrographis paniculatum. It is a compound in some of our supplements, and very, very good for supporting the immune system. The humoral immunity that we mentioned at the beginning, your vitamins A, C, D, and then zinc. And then cell-mediated immunity, Thymus vulgaris, berberine, echinacea, Perilla frutescens, selenium, and zinc. All right, so basically, quick summary. Sleep more. Okay? 7 to 9 hours is optimal. Try not to eat more than or less than 3 hours before you go to bed. Make sure that the room is dark. Use white noise, gravity cooling blankets, and don't exercise less than 3 hours before you go to bed. You don't want an increased heart rate when you're going to bed neither. So you want to calm down, do gentle movements, listen to calming music. Supplements, vitamin, as we said, A, C, and D are best. Variety of fruits and veg for gut microbiome diversity, and stay away from sugary, processed, and inflammatory foods. Stay well hydrated and avoid caffeine and alcohol. If you are fasting, start slowly and build up over time. Fasting is also a stressor on your system. So don't jump in with too aggressive fasting initially. Okay? Start it maybe 1 day a week if you want, or 2 days, see how you go. Exercise is vital to boost antioxidant levels, move lymph, and boost immune systems. Okay. Avoid negativity, anxiety, and fear situations, and rather embrace laughing and good feeling situations. And if your immune tolerance is already compromised, then double up on everything above. Okay. All right, then this is a basic summary. You can look through that. It goes through all the various areas of our immune system, what our goal is with therapy, and the different bioactives and supplements that you can use for them. Okay, so I think that's the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Jenny.
You're
That's amazing. I think, what really strikes me is the fact that we need to work this as a system and not simply, go down to the pharmacy and get yourself a bottle of vitamin C. And I think that's what, what really came across, for me in this talk. So thank you very much, as always, for your time.
You're welcome. One thing I would like to mention as well, okay, if people are looking for specific supplements to get in contact with us, we have a variety, and if you are looking for something specific and we don't have it, just, give us a shout. We can, usually get what you need. And just to say, what I do stock at all times in my fridge, okay, it has made a massive difference for my family. So obviously you optimize all those different areas in your lifestyle, but then, you know what, like we all do get sick sometimes, and you can feel that scratchiness at the back of your throat or your nose. You start to get a bit stuffy or sniffles. And there are 3 products that are absolutely amazing if you have them on hand right as you start to feel that, those kind of cold flu symptoms coming on. And they are from a company called Panaxia, or Panacea is how I pronounce it. And they are, it's a product called AVAT, which stands for antiviral, anti-tumor. Then there is another one called FluX, and another one called Supercharge. They are absolutely potent. They are full of all kinds of different botanicals and various different things, very, very, very highly researched. And you dose yourself on those 3 products, it makes a massive difference. And, if that isn't enough, you still feel there's stuff that's not getting controlled, there are 1 or 2 other things you can add on top of if you need. There's a product called Antibiobotanical, and another one called BronchX, which is obviously for your respiratory system. The Antibiobotanical is a natural antibiotic, and it doesn't have all of the side effects on your gut. So it doesn't destroy your microbiome. So it's a much gentler, much better option. So there are various options. So do reach out if you are looking for something, or if you're struggling, or if you want to just keep stuff on hand to
certainly. I'll add that. I'll add all of those products in the comments when I share this video with everybody.